I think he takes this position because he comes from a very interesting position. So I might as well bring this up now so you could get this thing in context.
Okay.
He actually came to this planet to kill. That was his purpose. He came as an assassin. The interesting thing is, though, he wasn't permitted to kill on this physical plane. He can only kill in the lower realms or on the other side, because if you kill somebody here on this plane, they go to the other side with their full consciousness. So basically, you're just changing the position of a person. You're not really improving the situation, right? Whereas if you kill somebody on the other side, and you have to have permission to do it, like karmic position, because he came as a karmic agent. I'm not expecting people to believe this. I don't really care. I'm just telling you, I've studied his life, and that's why he came. He came as a karmic agent. And at this time in our history, there were certain black magicians in the lower realms that were getting too powerful. So he came to take them out. That was his purpose. So in other words, and when he went down there, of course, they were trying to defend themselves too. They're like, this guy, they're coming for us. We're going to defend ourselves. I think this is where he gets the idea. If someone is more important than you, then let them kill you, because he was obviously more important than these black magicians. Yet these black magicians were trying to defend themselves, where they should have just let themselves be transmuted. So what happens is, let me just finish this. And what happens is when someone is of that depth of involution gets killed on a lower realm, their consciousness is split up in any number of parts, which breaks up the power. And each of those parts is reincarnated separately in order to break up the power. Because you have some of these black magicians who are so powerful and so brilliant, they would be reborn to wreak the same havoc again here on this physical plane by the time they were 15. You know what I'm saying? They were so, I mean, brilliant genius, like ingenious type of characters. But if the consciousness is split up, then karma can work its way out. So it gives you a little bit more perspective of why he would say what he would say, because he'd actually been through it. Like, for instance, I'll say this, and this is a bold statement. He took out the black magician who was behind the crucifixion. It was in a projected state. He would project from the body to the lower realm. And he said he followed this black magician for 2,000 years. And when he got the chance to take him out, he took him out, but it was done on the other side. And this black magician, his consciousness was split up into thousands of parts. So it causes a transmutation. So each of those eventually the consciousness would come back together again, but not through a lot of difficult learning experience. So it causes a transmutation. We say that he transmuted the black magician, but it's still killed. It's the same thing.
Well, let me ask you something. Okay, let's go back to your example of, your leader and, people like him who are going after, in another plane of consciousness, are going after these black magicians.
Here's the thing, Jim. I think it's fairly unique. I don't think it's entirely unique in history, but I think I believe these are the days of Armageddon. And that's what this was, like his coming with a few others. There's reference to this in the book of Revelation. And it's some really interesting stuff, the way the book of Revelation, the prophecies of Revelation tie in exactly with what I'm talking about here.
But let me get back to what I have a question. I hope
go ahead.
Okay, now, your leader comes with, you're saying there were him and maybe one or two other entities who are fighting against these black magicians. Do I have this correct so far?
Well, there were three originally. They're called the three adepts, and it's interesting because in Revelation it talks about three angels descending
Okay.
to engage in this Armageddon, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I found this out later.
Got it. Okay.
So there were three originally, later supplemented by two more that didn't come as children. They kind of came in as adults to supplement them. But there had to be a lot of karma be manipulated for the two more to come. You see, it was first originally the three.
Okay, now this is your leader and two others originally.
Two others originally, and then two more. And then for some of these, Lord Babaji got involved.
Okay, now on the other side of the dark, the dark magicians, let's say there were an equal number or more, maybe?
Oh, armies.
Okay.
I mean, but the thing is, no, I mean, you've got the certain heads that needed to be taken out. The armies didn't need to be taken out. It was the heads, but they had armies behind them.
Got it. Okay. But these three heads. Now, is this a situation?
Oh, it might have been more than three heads. I mean, it's like there were certain.
Okay. Now, okay, you've got these three heads. Now, would this be a situation?
No, you mean the black magicians? I'm not saying that there were three heads. I'm saying there were certain ones that needed to be taken out.
Exactly. Of those black magicians, you've got, let's say, Jews.
Well, there were armies of them, but there were certain ones that were pulling the strings, just like here. It's a hierarchy there. It's same as here.
Right. That's what I mean.
Except it's more diabolical because it's just more advanced because there's scientists congregate there. They have more. In other words, the science in the low realms is usually 50 to 100 years beyond where we are now, is basically how it works.
Okay. Now, my reason for asking this, let's just say for just as an example, there are three of these ones who are controlling these armies, right? Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Let's just say for an example.
Yeah.
You're taking, even though we're talking on a level that's not of this plane, what you're doing is you're still talking about taking these black magicians out will help humanity. Correct?
Yeah, it was protection, really. It was protection. It was taking them out because of what they would have done and what they had been doing to the human race.
So in that way, these three heads, so to speak, by taking them out, and they're aggressing against a larger chunk of beings, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is just a way, I'm just trying to put this in a way to establish. So by him taking these other guys out, he's actually carrying out, cosmic law, because even though he's killing them, he's still doing it to protect against the aggression.
Yeah. And like I said, when it happens on a lower realm, these individuals have their consciousness split up. See, there's the thing. If their consciousness, and this happens, like a mass murderer might have its consciousness split up in 2 or 3 parts. It depends. It's part of the karma. But when it gets that powerful, they might have their consciousness split in thousands of parts. And he said each woman will be born as intelligent. Like, it's not like they're raving idiots. It's just that the power becomes so great. If there wasn't that consciousness split, it wouldn't really accomplish much, because basically you'd kill the black magician on the other side in the lower realms, and he'd come back. By the time he's 15 years old, he'd take over a corporation or something. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so this is why the killing wasn't permitted on this physical plane. And when he talked about prayer, he talked about being careful about how to pray for certain people, because you could harm them. Right. Like he was at the time, Khrushchev was in power. Right. And he said, be careful about trying to change Khrushchev's mind, because you could cause a lot of confusion in the individual. And what he was saying is, you're using the prayer for black magic. Right. So he was really interesting, very careful on how he gave advice on how to pray. Pray that a person be risen into their higher selves, but never pray to change their mind, because that's black magic. Then he talked, you know what I'm saying? So he got involved with all of this.